Broadcasting from Cincinnati, you're listening to the Ringside Reporter Podcast. All the news from the world of boxing right here.
Well, I'm talking to you the way I want to talk to you.
Now, here's your host, Eric Lorda.
And we are live. Welcome to the Ringside Reporter Show, where we talk about the latest boxing news. If it's related to boxing, we'll talk about it here. My name is Eric Lorta, and I'm here with my co-host, Joe Habib. We have a great show for you today, and if you want to call in and ask some questions, you can call in right now at 323-870-3857, and we'll be here till about 8 o'clock tonight. And today, we're going to talk about Canelo Alvarez suing DAZN and Golden Boy. We'll give you all the details. Boxing also loses a legend this week, and we'll tell you all about that. But first, we're going to get started with ESPN edges Kavaluskas versus Michael Zewski. Kavaluskas wins via TKO over Zewski in the 8th round. Kavaluskas dropped him in the 7th round, at the end of the 7th round, and then dropped him again in the 8th round to finish out the fight. With the win, Kavaluskas asked for a rematch with Terrence Crawford. I can give you Crawford's answer right now if you want. Absolutely, 100%, no way you're getting that rematch. That aside, though, Kavaluskas didn't look bad. No, Beeb?
Kavaluskas, well, I'm going to tell you that the fight was very competitive. I mean, he was getting touched up. His eye was getting swelled up a little bit. He was down on the cards at the time of the stoppage. So he was
down by 2 points, right? 65, 67 on all 3 cards.
And I'll be honest with you. I wasn't scoring the fight. But when I was watching it, I was like, Zewski's really doing well. The thing was, Kavaluskas was doing really good with the jab. But early on, he wasn't following up with anything. He wasn't like throwing the right hand, but he was really peppering Zewski with the jab. But Zewski was really landing a sharp right hand, and he was, stepping inside and working the body of Kavaluskas. And he seems to be outworking Kavaluskas early on. And then out of nowhere, just like that uppercut happened, I believe in the 7th round. And it knocked Zewski down. And that one punch turned the fight, because then in round 8, Kavaluskas came out, bomb of a right hand. That was the beginning of the end, and Zewski was finished. But Zewski was outworking Kavaluskas, and his jab was pretty good too. But for the most part, he was just landing more power shots than Kavaluskas. Not that Kavaluskas wasn't landing here and there, but Zewski was really landing that left hook, and that's why you could see that Kavaluskas' right eye was kind of swollen. He had a mouse under it, and that was as a result of that big left hook from Zewski. But Zewski, he just committed to the body. He committed to just throwing those power shots. He wasn't hesitant at all. He stepped in, and he looked to score with big shots. He wasn't timid at all in this fight, whereas Kavaluskas kind of started a little slow and was trying to box more so. But then, when he did decide to step on the gas, we saw what happened. He hurt Zewski, and Zewski could not recover from that big shot. That big shot just turned the fight, and that was that. So it was a real entertaining fight to watch. It was a very competitive fight, and it was a fight that I thought Kavaluskas was losing, to be perfectly honest with you.
Yeah, I tell you what, I think that, what were your thoughts now? Kavaluskas was losing this fight. I don't think there's any question about that. He was losing this fight.
Yeah.
So
it was close. I mean, it was still.
But he was losing it on the cards. You're right. I mean, it was close.
It was close.
But even with that knockdown in the 7th, it's still, it was pretty far away. I mean, he got 2 points for that round.
Yeah.
But, he doesn't catch this guy. Do you see a reason to rematch him and Crawford?
Probably not. But I will say this. Kavaluskas is going to be a tough out for any of those guys at 147, any of the top guys. You know who I think that he would give tons of problems to?
Who?
Danny Garcia. I think he'd give tons of problems with Danny Garcia because
Yeah.
he's kind of crafty when he wants to be.
Yeah.
And Danny Garcia likes to counterpunch, and sometimes he gets off to a slow start. And Kavaluskas has a real active, accurate jab. And I think that, Kavaluskas could give Garcia problems with that jab from the outside because Danny Garcia likes to get in that mid-range and land that hook. And I think if Kavaluskas keeps him out of range, he could evade that left hook by just keeping him out there at the end of his jab and come over the top with the right hands. So I think that he would be a tough out for a lot of these guys at 147. I thought he gave Crawford all he could handle. Although Crawford, obviously, we saw what the result was at the end of that fight. But Crawford was in a fight. He didn't walk through him.
Yeah, it wasn't. I mean, it was a decent fight. I mean, it wasn't. I didn't think it was ever in doubt, but it wasn't like Crawford just walked right through the guy. It was a fight, But that being said, man, I don't have any desire to see that second fight. You know what I mean?
I don't think that off of this performance it warrants a rematch because again, this fight was in the balance before the stoppage.
Right.
So
yeah. So I'd like to see a rematch of this fight.
But this was kind of cool. It was kind of cool how Kavaluskas just made a decision that, hey, guess what? I'm behind. I'm being outworked. I'm going to step on the gas, and I'm going to take charge of this fight. And that's what he did. That's what he did.
As far as Kavaluskas, what's next for him? Where does he go from here? Because clearly he's not going to get that rematch with Terrence Crawford.
Well, he's going to always hover in the top 10. So he's right there for any of the champions at any given time. At some point, I could see him being a mandatory for someone again, So all he's got to do is keep winning and staying active, and he can be a mandatory once again. So, like I said, he's a legitimate top 10 guy, and as long as he can hang around in there and continue to win, like I said, he'll challenge for a title again at some point. Maybe not right away, but at some point he will.
Yeah, and then Reese Mack just said he actually dropped Crawford or screwed up. Yeah, I remember that. I thought he dropped him.
Yeah, I think it was.
I thought he dropped him. I thought that was a legit knockdown.
Legit knockdown
for sure. Is that your brother's watching the game in the background? I tell you what, he's okay. He's okay. We're actually all watching the games. Of course, on the Sunday, I'm watching the Bengals. I'm watching the game cast of it. I can hear everybody in the other room. So when they cheer, I know something happened. So I've actually got my eyes on the Bengals game. I know your brother's watching the Tampa Bay game. Yeah. So definitely understandable, man. Definitely understandable. I love it. I'm glad football's back. You're not a big football fan though, right, Beeb?
No, I'm not a big football fan.
Aside from boxing, what other you like NBA?
I like NBA better.
You like NBA?
I watch football during the playoffs.
Yeah.
During the playoffs, I do, yeah.
And baseball, no. Definitely not a baseball fan.
Puts me to sleep.
It puts me to sleep too. It's just so boring, man.
Can't watch it.
I can't. I like boxing. I like soccer, and then football's a third. I like both of those better than football, but it is what it is. All right, let's talk about the upcoming fights here. Let's see here. Let's go to ESPN. There's not a whole lot of upcoming fights, but we'll talk about a fight. We're going to talk about the fight coming up in 2 weeks here in just a little bit. All right, so September 19th, Jose Pedraza versus Javier Molina on ESPN from Las Vegas, 10 rounds, junior welterweights. And then F.A. Ajagba, wait a minute, this is September 19th. F.A. Ajagba versus the dreaded TBA, 10 rounds, heavyweights. Now also, too, on September 19th from Uncasville, Connecticut on Showtime, Erickson Lubin versus Terrell Gachet. This has got to be the fight of the week here. 12 rounds for the WBC junior middleweight title eliminator. That's a good fight. That is a solid fight, man.
Yeah.
Tugstock Myanmar versus Eduardo Ramirez on the undercard, 12 rounds of WBC featherweight title eliminator. That's a solid fight as well. Jaron Ennis versus Juan Carlos Abreu. That's a good fight as well. That Showtime card is stacked right there. Those are some good fights. I'll definitely be watching those. Who do you like in that Lubin versus Gachet fight, Beeb?
Wow, that's tough. That's tough.
I like Gaché. Gaché is kind of the up and comer, but man,
I like Gaché because I thought Gaché beat Lara. I don't think he got the nod in that fight, and I thought that he looked really good in that fight. Whereas Lubin hasn't really, to me, had a standout win. You know, and I think Gaché really rose to the occasion in that Lara fight, and he showed me a lot of boxing ability, showed me a lot of poise, a lot of patience, and I was impressed with that victory. I really was.
Yeah, it's a it's one of those like I said, man, it's a good fight. It's a good fight. It's a solid fight. You know, and those are the kinds I like. You know, because that's a competitive fight that could go either way, and that's the one. You know, they're not two great big names, but it's a solid fight. It's one I'm going to be looking forward to. In 2 weeks, we'll talk about the Charlo pay-per-view. That'll be in 2 weeks or whatever. Notorious VC said, "Are you guys ordering the Charlo pay-per-view? Is it $75?" It's so. Yeah, we'll talk about that. We'll talk about that a little bit later in the show. Yeah. Right now, let's go ahead and move on here. I'll tell you what, man, this one, if this ain't the train wreck of the week, Beeb, I don't know what is, man. I really don't. This is one of those ones that it's so convoluted. All right, so Canelo sues DAZN and he sues Golden Boy. All right. Now the case was actually dismissed, but this is real convoluted. So I'll try to explain the best I can, man. Canelo Alvarez is suing Golden Boy and DAZN for breach of contract. He's looking for $280 million. 280 million, Beeb. His contract was what, 350?
350 or 330.
Somewhere something obscene, put it that way.
Yeah.
You know, he's hired the Maloney firm for this task. Canelo has. He's hired the Maloney firm. The lawsuit was actually dismissed this week by the U.S. District Court in the Central District of California on Friday. The case was rejected on the grounds in which Alvarez attorneys named multiple defendants. This is a direct quote from the Honorable Percy Anderson, the district judge for the U.S. District Court. He says, because the complaint alleges the citizenship of the LLC defendants as if they were corporations rather than limited liability companies, the complaint was not properly alleged the citizenship of those parties. Absent unusual circumstances, a party seeking to invoke diversity jurisdiction should be able to allege affirmatively the actual citizenship of the relevant parties. As a result, plaintiff's allegations are not sufficient to invoke this court's diversity jurisdiction. Now, Canelo Alvarez now has until September 28th to amend the complaint. Now, listen, I'm not a lawyer, but what this means is that the paperwork was jacked up, and he's got until September 28th to refile and make this right. Now, Beeb, I don't know. He's got to be paying like, I don't know, a truckload for those attorneys, right?
Yeah.
Isn't that kind of embarrassing? You know, I mean, really.
Well, it looks like somebody didn't do their homework on his side.
Yeah.
So then you got to ask yourself this: how reputable are these guys who are representing him? First of all, you know, I like Canelo Alvarez a lot.
Sure.
But he had an issue with his old promoter. That was a Mexican promoter.
Zanfer.
Was it Zanfer or somebody?
I believe it was. I thought it was Zanfer.
I thought it was somebody else, but whoever it was a smaller promoter. It was a Mexican-based promoter. So he had an issue with them, and he signed with Golden Boy while he still was under contract with them. So I guess he had to pay them a sum of money to get out of that contract so he can go with Golden Boy. So now he's with Golden Boy, and he has Golden Boy negotiating this DAZN deal on his behalf. And apparently, according to DAZN, they're saying that Golden Boy assured them that Canelo would do certain things. They assured him that he would fight Golovkin, and they assured him of other things that were not disclosed.
Right.
From what I've read. But apparently, what they're saying is they don't believe that Golden Boy actually got assurances from Canelo. They just went ahead and said things without Canelo agreeing to them. So they feel as though Golden Boy misled them. So I'm hearing that DAZN is in the process of suing Golden Boy because of that.
Yeah.
So my whole point is this: Canelo seems to get wrapped up. And again, this sounds ridiculous because the guy's made millions of dollars. He's had a good career. Don't get me wrong, but he's also had to pay out portions of his purses to this other promoter because of, what he did in terms of not fulfilling the contract and signing another contract before fulfilling the previous contract. So I guess my whole thing is you have to question Canelo, the way he makes business moves. He seems as though he needs to get people around him that are he needs an Al Heyman, basically, like Floyd had, because Floyd seems to do well from a business standpoint. He has a good business mind in the sport of boxing. Seems like Canelo has made bad decision choices in the past, and he seems as though he's doing it now with the way his career is playing out with Golden Boy. And Golden Boy, just to me, I don't know, man. Oscar just seems like he's just a bullshit artist now. He's all over the place. He just seems as though that company is run very unorganized, and they're not really thorough when they do things. Just like when they had that situation with Al Heyman when they didn't realize that they didn't have those guys under contract, and Al Heyman could just pull them at any time, and Oscar didn't know that. And just like Oscar is making deals with the DAZN and not telling Canelo and not asking Canelo, well, this is what they want you to do. Will you agree to this? He's just already saying to the DAZN, yeah, Canelo's going to do this. It seems as though, according to the DAZN, and I believe it because it seems like a De La Hoya type thing that he would do because he's a habitual liar.
Yeah,
he's a habitual liar. He's double talked himself several times on the internet. We've seen him in interviews just flat out lie about stuff. And all promoters lie, but De La Hoya just takes it to another level. So the thing is this, Canelo seems to have some issues handling his business matters, and he needs to get the right people around him. And this is the second time he's having an issue with the promoter. First time, okay, I can understand. But once again, you're falling into the same situation with a different promoter. And you have to kind of question you have to question everyone left this promoter, and you were basically the only guy that stayed.
Yeah.
And you're seeing issues that he's having with Ryan Garcia and other fighters, right? So at some point in time, you got to say to yourself, I'm with the wrong guy. And I got to start doing some self-reflection here and really ask myself, what's going wrong here? I got to stop making better choices. I got to surround myself with better people. Now, he's got great trainers around him. Again, from the boxing standpoint, he's got everything on point. But from a business standpoint, it seems to me like he's got the wrong people around him, and he's got to kind of get all his ducks in a row, in order to move forward and finish his career on the right foot, because what good is having this contract if you're not going to fight and actually reap the benefits of the contract? If you're not going to fight and get paid, then you're going to be on the shelf. What good is that? What good is that?
And the whole thing, it kind of stems from him not wanting to take a pay cut. This is where the lawsuit happened. Him not talking about a pay cut or whatever. So this is where I'm fuzzy on it. Okay. Were they talking about a pay cut for his next fight? Because he's going to fight Avni Yildirim was the opponent that they're talking about. DAZN wants no part of that. And you know what? I don't blame him. And they're not going to pay him for that. And I don't blame him for not paying him for that. But was there something in the contract? Okay, and this is what none of us are really privy to. Is there anything in the contract that says, hey, Avni, you can't fight an Avni Yildirim, or you can't fight
Well, here's another point of contention that I don't mean to cut you off here. But
yeah,
another thing that was mentioned, and Steve Kim wrote an article, and he made some great points.
It's a great article, by the way.
Great points. And he said it's not clear whether or not Canelo knew that he wouldn't have the power to choose his own fights. He wasn't under the impression that, it seems to me, because this is part of the lawsuit too, that he's being dictated to who he's going to fight. Now, obviously, the broadcaster can choose what they want to broadcast, but he thought he would have more power and decision making in his opponents. which doesn't seem to be the case here, because this reminds me of the Andre Ward situation with HBO. Every time he'd want to fight someone, HBO would turn him down and say, "No, we're not gonna broadcast that fight. You got to fight somebody else."
Mhm.
You know. But this is Canelo Alvarez. This is a guy who's the biggest name in the sport. He's the face of boxing. You wouldn't think that he'd be dictated to like this, you know. And you know what I would do if I was the DAZN? I'd say, okay, we'll let you fight Yildirim, but you got to give us something. Like after the Yildirim fight, you got to fight this guy. You know, we want you to fight this guy or whatever. You know what I'm saying? So
how do you do that though? The contract's already been signed.
Well, there's got to be some type of compromise. Oh, for the Yildirim fight?
No, for Canelo. I mean, he's already signed $350 million.
I understand that, but what I'm saying is, if they want him to fight a certain fighter or whatever, and they're not happy with the Yildirim fight, then just say, okay, we'll give you the Yildirim fight, but your next fight's got to be this. In other words, in order, you know, kind of, it's got to be some type of compromise. And it seems like neither side wants to budge. You know, and Golden Boy seems to be right in the middle of it. And the problem that Golden Boy has is they're fighting with both sides.
That's what it sounds like. It sounds like they made promises to both guys. It's almost like a game of Big Brother where they made promises to they made promises to DAZN, and they also made promises to Canelo.
They flat out lied
to either side.
It seems as though they flat out lied to DAZN and they flat out lied to Canelo, which is typical of what Oscar does. He's a bullshit artist.
Yeah, pretty much. Pretty much.
You know,
I just look, man, it's I wouldn't try, and saying Canelo has problems with promoters. I mean, listen, a lot of people had problems with Oscar. I would say Canelo has more problems with his judgment.
Well, that's what I was alluding to. That maybe I didn't clarify that, but that's what I mean. He's got to make better choices.
Yeah, he says here in that article, quote, this is from Steve Kim on ESPN, that article we were referring to. It says both Canelo and DAZN have issues with Golden Boy. Canelo is saying it sounds like you made a representation to DAZN that I was going to do things that are not in my contract with you, and I'm not required to do them. And then he says that basically DAZN, on the other hand, is saying to Golden Boy, you had represented to us that you had secured Canelo's approval and agreement to do these things, and you didn't. And I think they're right in the middle of it. I think that Golden Boy is right in the middle of it, and this is typical Golden Boy.
But here's the thing. DAZN has to do a better job of working on these contracts. They got to do a better job from the business standpoint themselves. Why wasn't Canelo in the room? They should have had a conversation. A deal this big should have had a conversation with Canelo. Shouldn't have just dealt like it should have been a bit like when DAZN sat down and they were negotiating with Wilder. Wilder was in the room. Canelo should have been in the room. Why was Canelo not in the room? A deal this big, I would want to be in the room, wouldn't you? For
$350 million, yeah, for sure. For
that's
$10
like
million,
that's like you're getting ready to buy a house or whatever, and you got a financial advisor advising you on what to do. Aren't you going to be there and talk to the seller when the deal is made? You're going to be part of that, right? You're not just going to let someone do it on your behalf, right? You're going to kind of read things over and look at things over with a fine-tooth comb. It seems like Canelo put too much trust into Golden Boy.
100%.
And he needed to be more involved with this deal.
Yeah, and Oscar commented on the situation, of course, via Twitter. That's how business gets done nowadays, I guess. Quote from Oscar De La Hoya, while yesterday's order does not end the case, we are hopeful that this era will allow us to reset and refocus on what's important. Working together to get Canelo back in the ring against a top opponent ASAP. If not, we expect Canelo's lawyers will now enter arbitration as laid out in our contract.
And here's the thing, too. Another thing you have to question with Canelo. What's going on with these lawyers? Why is the case getting dismissed? Why don't they know how to file the case properly?
It sounds like, like I said, man, it sounds like a misstep, but that's a pretty, it sounds like a pretty basic misstep.
Would Johnny Cochran have made that misstep?
Listen, this ain't OJ's legal team he's got here, man.
Would Johnny
That's
Cochran?
for sure. JC,
Would F. Lee
Carl
Bailey?
Douglas, F. Lee Bailey, none of them are making that mistake, baby.
Andrew Saborn, the Beeb's lawyer, he never would have made that misstep.
Beeb's lawyer.
Andrew Saborn, when we walk into the courtroom, we're ready. We're ready to rock, baby.
Who is Andrew Saborn?
To the Beeb's lawyer.
I find it fascinating that you have a lawyer. The Beeb's legal team.
The Beeb's legal team. Joel J. Rogie, Andrew Saborn.
People say the stream keeps cutting in and out. Does anybody else having issues with that? I've seen it twice now. I just want to make sure. Just as long as our voice isn't cutting out or anything like that, I don't know.
I'm not seeing it.
I'm not seeing it either. So, and I didn't see it. I'm got a stream up, and I didn't see it there either. So, hopefully not. So we'll see. But I go back to my original point is that at the end of the day, I this is what I don't know and I don't understand. Is DAZN asking Canelo to take a pay cut for this fight or a contractual pay cut? You know what I mean? So when Canelo, if Canelo's going to fight, if he was going to fight Callum Smith or Billy Joe Saunders or whoever, are they saying, yeah, you need to take a pay cut and we're going to subtract that off the $350 million, or you need to take a pay cut for this fight because there's a minimum here, but we'll cap you back when it comes to the other fights? I don't know.
Well, it seems to me that there's just so much that there's so much more that meets the eye in terms of this deal. There's a lot of things that probably are in this contract that we don't know about, and there's probably a lot of stipulations in there that maybe even Canelo himself doesn't know about. And
well, and the other thing, while we're on the same topic, man, the other thing about this is, as far as Canelo goes, what is he actually looking for here? Because I know he's not happy with Golden Boy. He doesn't like Oscar, and he hasn't liked Oscar for a while, and I think it's because of this kind of stuff. Is he looking to get out of this deal? I don't know. And why, though? I mean, why not just, this is 350 million or 330 million, something around, something crazy. We all know it's over 300, and it's around that area. Why not just take this and finish your contract out? Because it's guaranteed. It should be guaranteed if you're fighting, right? If you fight 11 times for them, and I think it should be implied. Let me ask you, okay? So if you're a fighter, do you think you're going to fight, 11 guys in the top 20 or the top 5? You know what I mean? You guys want to see, you have title defenses. You have to maintain title defenses, everything like that. So you're going to have maybe a soft touch from time to time, quote unquote, but super, they want to see high caliber fights. No, this is what everybody thought going in. Why didn't you think that way?
Well, here's the thing. Canelo has said time and time again that he wants to be in high profile fights, that he wants to challenge himself. So the question you have to ask yourself, though, is if they're going to say Billy Joe Saunders and Callum Smith aren't premium opponents, then
I don't understand that. I really don't get that, man.
That doesn't make sense either.
So Max Kellerman said that earlier in the week. He said that basically that Callum Smith and Billy Joe Saunders were kind of voted down by DAZN. They didn't really want a part of that. They don't want a part of Yildirim either, which I get. I get that wholeheartedly. But Callum Smith and Billy Joe Saunders, those are big name guys. Those are good guys. Those are good fighters. Are they bigger names than Triple G? No. But are they better opponents? 100% yes.
But here's the thing too. You just saw Triple G, in my opinion, get beat in his last fight.
It's not an interesting fight
by Derevyanchenko.
Yeah.
So if you're Canelo, that's the biggest money fight that out of all of the big names that you could fight, that may be the easiest opponent right now.
Why would you not take that fight?
Why would you not take that fight?
Yeah. Why would you?
Just because you're personally mad at the guy? So go in there and take your frustrations out on him and beat him up. What's the best place to take out your frustrations on someone you don't like?
Right.
The ring. You could beat someone up and not get arrested for it. Why not go in there and fight the guy and get paid more than you can get paid for any other possible fight out there for yourself?
This is one of the only sports
I don't get it.
Where you could take somebody that you really dislike and beat the crap out of them. It's one of the only professions where you can do that.
You know, in my opinion, and this is just my opinion, I think the DAZN is really aggravated and upset and frustrated.
They should be.
That they could not get that third Golovkin fight, which they thought they were going to get, and which I thought we were going to get. I thought that was an automatic.
I didn't want to see it. I thought him fighting the other Russian was a better fight, with Kovalev. Whatever. I don't want to see a third fight between him because I think Triple G is definitely on the slide.
For the first time in my life, and this may sound like a very, very controversial statement, but I'm going to say it, and this is what I believe. For the first time in my life, and I never thought I'd ever see this, I saw Triple G actually get beat up in his last. He got beat up.
He did.
Got beat up.
I thought Derevchenko won the fight.
He got beat up.
I thought he won it. You and I both thought he won it.
Outside that flash knockdown, obviously, Golovkin had his moments, but I clearly thought Derevchenko won that fight 8-4. I had it 8-4. I thought it was a clear victory. And I saw Triple G, his breathing out, I saw his face. I've never seen him look like that before in my life. No. He looked like a guy that was like, what the fuck is going on here?
Derevchenko is a good fighter.
Yes, and he was breathing heavy. And Charlo does not have a cakewalk in front of him.
No, that's a tough one. That is a
tough fight that he could very well lose.
Yeah, that's a tough fight for him. But I'll tell you what. I mean,
I thought Derevchenko beat Jacobs too. Not to cut you off. I thought Derevchenko beat Jacobs. I thought he should have two victories over two top level guys that he did not get. I thought he beat Jacobs and I thought he beat Golovkin. I had him beating Jacobs. I
thought Jacobs won that. I thought Jacobs kind of eked it out.
A lot of people agree with you. They think he eked it out, but I scored it for Derevchenko. But I really did.
I thought Jacobs beat Triple G in their first fight too.
Yeah.
Triple
G should have 3 losses on his record right now.
Yeah, he should. Yeah, he really should. Because I thought Jacobs beat him. Claudio Monreal says Canelo has pride issues. Yeah, I think that's a good way to put it because all he had to do was fight Triple G, and that's a 4th fight. If he fights Triple G, that's the 4th fight on his DAZN thing, right? On his contract.
Yeah.
A very winnable fight. No, I mean, that's listen, that's a tough fight out, but all fights are tough. It's a winnable fight.
Dan the Man says Canelo agreed to fight Golovkin, but Golovkin turned it down. I did not hear that. I did not hear that.
Okay, so I think it was something with the training, with the timing, or something. There was something there. I believe there was something there.
Canelo first came out.
Remember the exact things. But if that's the case, why can't they put it together now?
Well, Canelo first came out and said, "I have no desire to fight Golovkin again. I don't want to give him. I don't want to give him a payday."
Yeah, because he accused him of steroids or whatever, which he was on.
Because he was pissed off because he was
on it. No questions. So you were guilty. It wasn't like they thought you were guilty. You were guilty. You got caught. You took a suspension. You're guilty. You were tried. You're guilty. All right. So what else are we going to talk about? You know what I mean?
Yeah.
If you're guilty, you did them. You do the time, and he did. And so what now?
I guess people in the chat are saying that that Golovkin did come around and say, okay, he would fight him, but then Golovkin turned it down after Canelo said, yeah, I'll fight him. I don't
but I think it was more of a timing issue than anything else. I don't know that it was like he's not going to fight him. I think it was a timing thing.
Yeah.
Not necessarily.
Well, in the beginning, Golovkin wanted to fight him, and he didn't want to fight him in the beginning.
Yeah. Yeah,
that could have been the second fight of the deal, but he chose not to fight him.
Right.
And then after he realized that there was no one else out there to fight, then he probably came around and said, I wanted to fight him. But then Golovkin just came off a tough fight with Derevchenko, and he wasn't going to be able to come back right away.
I'm pretty sure that was what it was. It was something about he wouldn't be ready in the time. Something. There was something there. But September 16th is Wednesday. This past weekend was Mexican Independence Day weekend because they always celebrate it. You always celebrate it before. You don't celebrate it after the fact. There was no big fights.
Yeah,
when was the last time you remember September not a big fight?
Yeah.
I remember the first Tommy Hearns Sugar Ray Leonard fight. That was in September. This is the fight weekend, and this is why, because it's Independence Day, man.
Yeah.
I don't understand.
Yeah.
I don't understand. These promoters are dropping the ball, man.
I think what they need to do is Golovkin and Canelo need to come back and fight one fight, and then after that they need to fight each other.
Well,
that's what they should do.
Yeah. Well, interesting you say that because Canelo is the next fight. The WBC schedules a purse bid for September 21st on the ordered bout between Canelo Alvarez and Avni Yildirim for its super middleweight belt. But the organization has kept that time open. I mean, they have time to negotiate until September 21st. I don't know what your thoughts are on the Avni Yildirim fight. I can't stand this fight. I can't even stomach this fight. This is awful.
It doesn't need to happen, to be honest.
There's no reason Canelo should be fighting this guy.
And the WBC should be ashamed of themselves here.
Well, sure they should.
They should be ashamed of themselves.
This is awful.
They wonder why people question their credibility. And it's basically for moves just like this, which they continue to do. And they shouldn't be doing this. They should. There's so many other fights out there for him.
Tons, man. This. I tell you what. If an agreement isn't reached on the purse by September 21st, the WBC would hold a purse bid that would be open to any registered promoter, including Golden Boy, which is Alvarez's promoter, but any registered promoter. So PBC, who's not a registered promoter, but TGB, DeBella, DeBella's not going to get it, but TGB and the bigger promotions that work with PBC, it's possible he could end up fighting on a PBC card. No,
I'd laugh my ass off if that happens.
Wouldn't that be great? How great would it be?
I would fucking be rolling. You know what else would make me?
How great would that be?
You know what else would be even funnier? If Mayweather was the promoter.
Yeah. Well, that could very well happen. I mean, that could very well happen. Floyd's a promoter. I mean, that could very well happen. Dan the Man, I think that this, to me, this would be the best option. To me. DAZN will approve the Canelo versus De La Hoya fight.
I'd laugh my ass off.
How great would that be? How great would that? I would pay.
I'd pay for that.
I don't care. Any amount of money is too little. Okay. Any amount of money is too little to watch that beating on film. How great would that be?
I would
to watch him smack Oscar De La Hoya around.
Oh, I would laugh my ass off.
I would love it. Hey, he wants to come back. You want to come back or not? Let him come back. Settle your differences like men. Settle them in the ring. Alvarez, DAZN, and Golden Boy have not been on the same page since the challenger on challengers or terms. DAZN was reportedly not on board with Yildirim as Alvarez's next opponent. And I can see that. If you're DAZN, are you going to pay $20-25 million to Canelo for this fight?
No.
I'm not even entertaining.
They already gave him the Rocky Fielding fight.
Which was a nonsense fight. They gave him a nonsense fight.
They gave him the Kovalev fight. You can say what you want. Oh, it was a step up in weight, whatever. But
I thought Kovalev was winning that fight, man.
Everyone knew Kovalev
was a shot fighter.
Was there to be taken
for sure.
So no one thought Kovalev was going to win that fight.
No,
nobody picked Kovalev to win that fight.
I thought he was winning the fight, though. I had him ahead.
A lot of people.
I had him ahead.
Yeah,
I had him ahead.
That's legitimate.
I did have him ahead there.
You weren't the only one.
But that being said, like I said, I had him ahead, but he was knocked out, and most people, like you said, thought he was there just for the taking. So you had Kovalev, who was past his prime, and now you have Yildirim. You had Rocky Fielding. You know, G Funky Boxing says Canelo's fans were okay with him fighting Rocky Fielding. Listen, man, I don't think so. I don't think so. I mean,
Well,
I wasn't okay with it.
Well, the thing is,
You
this
know,
G Funky is right because he's got a lot of fanatical fans, and he,
Okay.
and
yeah, he does.
he could do, and those fans in their eyes, he could do no wrong. He could fight a crash test dummy, and they would justify it. So I know where G Funky's coming from. You know, I think I agree with him because he's got a lot of diehard fans, and no matter what he does, they're not going to criticize him for it. So,
yeah, it's and it's a shame. I mean, it's a shame because you know he's fighting these guys, and it's like, what are you doing, man? You know, I don't get it. Let's go to 805. 805, you're live. Or maybe not.
Hey guys, what's up?
Hey, what's up, man?
Nacho, you've been a little slow on the draw lately. You better wake up here. Kid.
You really have been.
Been slow on. You're caller of the year. When we go to you, you're supposed to jump. You're supposed to be like a Rottweiler with a chomping at the bit when we go to you.
All right, guys. All right, I got it.
Stop waking up here.
So you're a Canelo fan. Let me ask you this:
Yeah.
You're a Canelo fan. What do you make of this whole situation?
Wait. Hold on, Eric. I'm not on the bandwagon of the ginger. No.
How dare you?
I respect him, but I'm not a fan. I respect him, but I'm not a fan.
I was checking your mailbox. It said president of the Canelo fan club.
I saw it too. I saw it online.
On one of your,
he's got your name on his website, son.
On one of those
Howard
postcards.
Come on.
I was
Nacho.
I was rummaging through your mail the other day, and they had a postcard, and it was addressed to you, and the return address was Canelo Fan Club.
Come on, Beeb. Don't do me like that.
I'm sorry.
No, I mean that whole thing at this point, like, it doesn't make any sense. Like, I mean, who does he think he is, thinking that he's going to get all of that money up front from DAZN for not fighting anybody? Like, at this point, they're going to have to come to some sort of agreement on what is considered a premier opponent and what isn't a premier opponent. Because, I mean, they've paid him so far to beat up on a cherry pick in Rocky Fielding, a over-the-hill Kovalev, and a weight compromised Daniel Jacobs.
Whoa!
I mean, come on. How much more easy does
family?
How much easier does the road for Canelo get at this point with all the money he's made off of those 3 fights? I mean, really, like, this is getting ridiculous. Like, at some point, you got to figure Canelo's got to be like the rest of these guys. If you want to fight, the ability to fight is there. But if you're just literally going to sit out and force someone's hand because they don't have the ability to pay you the money of the contract, then good luck, because it's just going to make him look like a greedy bastard, in my opinion. You know, asking to be paid all these millions of dollars when there's people who can't even afford to pay their rent right now. I mean, come on. Like, that's a horrible look for Canelo and his team.
Nacho's coming with the heat today. He's coming with the
heat. Strong, son.
He's coming with the heat, man. Caliente, Nacho. Caliente, daddy.
Muy caliente.
Get him, Poppy.
That's just a horrible look on him and his team's part to try to enforce this contract when, you know, all these other guys like Loma and you know, Errol Spence and everyone else who's considered a star is taking less money to get back in the ring. I mean, and this dude's sitting there saying, I won't fight unless I get my $35 million. Come on. Like, that's really insulting to the boxing public and the fans, that he's literally sitting there acting like a spoiled kid because, you know, he's not going to get all of his money. You know, the guy should be thinking in terms of, you know, you only have so many years left in the sport and you're going to spend it in a courtroom instead of the ring. That's a terrible look, in my opinion. But we'll see what happens. And then I saw the fights last night. I don't know if you guys got to watch them. The Joey Gonzalez and Miguel Mariaga. Gonzalez looked good last night. He definitely looked a hell of a lot better than he did against Shakur Stevenson, and he was able to pretty much, go out there and take it to Marriaga, and Marriaga wasn't able to hurt him or, back him up or anything, and he was able to, go out there and do his thing and redeem himself. And
wasn't that the dude that
Shakur
Stevenson was doing his sister or something like that?
Yeah, that's the guy whose
the guy.
sister is dating Shakur Stevenson. Yeah.
TMZ stuff.
Yeah, the whole thing.
This is world stuff.
Yeah,
well, I was just saying. I mean, that's what was happening.
Don't contaminate the show with this smart.
Hey, Beeb, that's what they used to. Beeb, that's what ESPN used to promote the fight.
That's what they used.
Well, shame on ESPN. This is a family show.
Family show.
It's a family show. Shame on ESPN.
Talking about how they were. Yeah, well,
Notch. ESPN is owned by Disney, Nacho. They're owned by Disney.
Wholesome Nacho.
Shouldn't be talking about stuff like that.
I know he comes on our show and he brings this stuff up, Beeb.
Come on, Notch. It's a family show here. I don't want to lose sponsors.
Hey, guys.
Straight up smut.
Hey. Yeah, so, he looked good, but it'll be interesting to see if he gets a shot at the winner of Villa and Navarrete in a few weeks when they fight. And then the other one in the main event was Kavaluskas and Zewski. That was a pretty entertaining fight.
That was a great fight, wasn't it?
For a while.
That was a great fight.
Yeah, it was a pretty entertaining fight. Both guys went back and forth for a while, and then he hurt Zewski, and then just put his lights out in the 8th round.
Notch, who did you have winning? Who did you have winning? Who did you have winning before that stoppage?
I had Zewski up by 1 going into the going up. Yeah, I had him up by 1 going into that 8th round.
Yes.
Yeah, so I had it 4-3 for him. I thought it was a pretty close fight going up into the 8th round, and so it was a damn good fight though. But that's a good win for Kavaluskas to kind of put his name back out there. The thing is, with Top Rank not having a whole lot of welterweights, I mean, who are they really going to get for this guy as his next opponent? Like, unless they farm him out to the PBC, it's going to be tough.
That's a phenomenal
because they don't have.
He's got nothing else in front of him. I mean, he called out Terrence Crawford. That fight ain't happening, son. Yeah. Terrence Crawford ain't fighting that guy. He's looking for a bigger fight.
Happen. Yeah, exactly. Yeah, he's got bigger fish to fry.
Right.
Although I did see that Kell Brook on Max Kellerman's show this past weekend, guys, he did basically confirm that he is the front runner to fight Crawford, which is really disappointing to hear. I'm not really thrilled about him being the opponent, to be honest. I just think that, they need to do something. Like, this is getting really tiresome to hear these excuses that, that neither side will play ball. Like, at some point, somebody's got to swallow their pride and try to make a fight with the other camp, Like, they got to get Porter, they got to get Ugas, they got to get somebody to face Crawford. Like, this whole, we're just like,
I don't know why.
We're just going to keep avoiding.
I don't know why Porter would not jump at that fight. Style-wise, that would be a good fight.
Honestly, Beeb, I just think Heyman probably just does not want any of his guys to fight Crawford. I just genuinely think that
you could be right. You could be right.
Who did Porter fight last time? Who did Porter fight his last fight?
I think that's what it is.
Can't even remember the guy's name.
Can't even remember the guy's name.
I forgot it that quickly.
Yeah. He's too busy fighting those guys.
Formella.
There you go.
Sebastian
exactly.
Formella. Yeah. He's too busy fighting the Sebastian Formellas of the world. He's not interested in fighting Crawford.
Exactly. Yeah, he's not. I just honestly think they're just trying to freeze Crawford out at this point. And it sucks because if Crawford doesn't get a fight against one of these guys soon, his career is just going to become oblivious. He's going to be a really good fighter who,
who's just done.
Yeah,
I mean, he'll get a big fight before it's all said and done. But I don't know.
My biggest fear with Crawford is, you know what my biggest fear with Crawford is? When you keep fighting guys that you can't get up for after a while, you become complacent. and I hope he doesn't take his eye off. I hope he doesn't take his eye off the prize and just come up flat one night because he just couldn't mentally get prepared for a specific.
Yeah.
I just hope. I hope that doesn't happen.
Yeah, when you get all these.
Yeah.
Yeah, you get all these cherry picks, and then eventually you don't train the same, you don't fight the same. Yeah, I could totally see that happening. So, yeah, well, I hope they genuinely try to do something and make a fight against Porter or Ugas or whoever it is the PBC is willing to put in there. But, I mean, this is just getting really old at this point. Like, if he can't get a guy at 47, then maybe he should go up to 54 and see if they can't get somebody at 54, you know?
Ask yourself
all
this.
Right, guys. Well,
ask yourself this question before I let you go. Ask yourself this question. You can answer this question too, Eric, if you want to chime in. When was the last time you can remember Crawford ever being in a fight that you ever thought there was remotely a chance of him losing? I can't remember. Like, at least with Porter, when Porter fought Spence, Porter fought Garcia, these were all fights that you could say, yeah, I could see the other guy winning. Like, and even Spence when he fought,
I think that first Postal fight for me, it was that first Postal fight.
Yeah.
I thought that he could lose this fight. I thought that Postal had the goods to beat him.
I actually picked him to lose to Postal, and he did.
And who was the guy? Who was the guy that he unified against? The tall guy that beat Ricky Burns.
Oh, Ndongo.
Julius Ndongo. I thought had a real good chance, but then I watched that Postal fight again. I was like,
I didn't think Ndongo. I didn't think Ndongo could beat him, but I thought I didn't
expect him to get blown out like that. I didn't expect Ndongo to get blown out like that, though.
I thought Postal. Yeah, had a chance. And people are shitting on Postal, but look at Postal's fight against Ramirez.
Postal's a good fighter, man.
Look at Postal's fight against Josh Kelly. Those were really good showings by Postal. Postal is not a nobody, in my opinion. I mean,
Postal's a very good fighter, man.
You can't say he's a very good fighter.
He's legit. He's a solid fighter.
If he's talking about Rob 87, if you're talking about Postal being a nobody in the sense that he doesn't have a lot of fanfair,
I got you.
I think you're right. I think you're right. But if he's saying he's a nobody because he's not a good fighter, that's not.
Yeah, I can understand that one, Rob. If you think that he's not a big name or whatever, I get that.
Yeah, for sure.
But in terms of ability and skill, he's solid. He's solid as a rock.
All right, Nacho.
Yeah, exactly.
We appreciate the call as always, man.
This was probably the best call you've ever done. So this puts you
caller of the year, son.
Put you right back in the running for caller of the year.
Yeah, he's the caller of the year. And he may be, if you think about it, a 2-time caller of the year, because you think about like Georgie.
Gotta give it to him.
Georgie is a good caller too, but he calls from Rikers, so he's very limited on his calls.
Yeah, but Georgie needs a translator when he calls. And then he goes off. Then he goes off on these tangents that have nothing to do with boxing. Starts talking about like world power and conspiracy theorists and how the world's coming through. What
do you think they talk about in Rikers, son? He's got to try to condense all this into like a 2-minute call.
He's like Alex Jones when he calls in here.
I mean, look what he's going through. He's in Rikers, son. It's not easy in there.
It's a good point.
Come on, man.
It's a good point.
Stop it. Show some compassion, Beeb.
That's a good point. But I'm voting for Nacho for call of the year. I know you like Kevin because of all that crazy controversial stuff.
Kevin's a good caller, man.
Everyone wants to vote for Kevin for the shock value. I want to vote for Nacho because of the substantive dialogue that we have when he calls in. And he watches all the fights and he breaks down all. Nacho is great, man. We have to do a vote.
Nacho's very good.
We're gonna have to do a vote for Call of the Year at the end of the year.
Yeah, but my vote's the only one that counts. So there you go. All right, all right. So let's talk about this, man. The Charlo twins pay-per-view is set for $74.95.
It's a bargain.
It's
a bargain.
Bargain.
I'm used to paying $80 for pay-per-views. I'm getting a $5 discount. I'm happy.
Yeah, for like good pay-per-views, like solid people at the top.
I paid $100. I paid $100 for Pacquiao Mayweather.
Yeah, you got me.
All right.
The title fight. Let's go down this card, man. It's Jermall Charlo versus Sergey Derevyanchenko. That's a good fight. Not exactly star quality, though.
That's a great fight.
Jermell Charlo versus Jason Rosario.
Great fight.
No,
I love that.
That's
what?
not a great fight. That's not. Come on, son.
What? I'm going to tell you something. That fight is going to be a barn burner.
Who do you like in that fight?
Honestly?
No, I want you to lie to me.
Let me tell you this.
Yeah,
I'm going to slightly favor Charlo.
Yeah,
I'm going to slightly favor Charlo, but Rosario is live. Live. Remember the Beeb told you he is live. Live, double underlined. Live.
Oh.
All right.
Oh, I didn't know that. You said double underline.
Double underline.
That's hey, that everything,
Put a little extra on that one.
Yeah, that's extra. I didn't know that. I didn't know you were going there. Brandon Figueroa versus Damian Vasquez.
Another barn burner.
John Rayo Casamero versus Duke Micah.
Awesome fight.
Mario Barrios versus Ryan Carl.
Pick him.
Luis Neri versus Aaron Almeida.
Oh God.
Listen, man.
Eric.
I don't know. And listen,
is,
I'm gonna buy it because I'm a degenerate.
Trying to get a buck out of you is trying to like take a steak out of the jaws of a friggin' Rottweiler, man. That's just it's just
I throw quarters around like they're manhole covers, you know. What am I gonna do, you know?
Derevyanchenko is very live as well.
Who do you favor in that fight? Derevyanchenko or Charlo?
Something. I'm picking Derevyanchenko in that fight.
I think I might pick Derevyanchenko too, depending on how they look at the weigh-in, man.
I'm picking Derevyanchenko.
Yeah, I wouldn't. I don't hate
that
pick.
He's got the experience. He's been in bigger fights, and I thought he won. Thought he beat Jacobson. I thought he beat Golovkin.
Yeah.
No disrespect to Charlo, he hasn't fought anyone on that level.
No. This is a guy.
And Charlo has problems with fighting guys on the inside. He's a guy that likes space. He likes to turn the shots over. He likes to get full extension. Derevyanchenko doesn't need full extension. He can chop you up and on the inside. He can grind you down.
And I believe this is a Showtime pay-per-view, no?
I believe so.
I don't think it's a Fox, is it?
I think it's a Showtime. I could be wrong.
I think it's a Showtime too.
Positive.
This is a bad. Let me tell you what. It may turn out to be a really good card.
Oh, it's going to be a barn burner.
But on pay-per-view, this is not a $75 card.
Well, you know what the problem is?
There's no star power. That's the problem.
Exactly. Mainstream fans don't know who these guys are.
Mm-hmm.
But this is the perfect opportunity for them to be introduced to these guys. You know what the great move is, not to switch topics, not to change the subject here. By having ESPN, I was talking to someone today about this. And this guy at the gym is a casual fan, but he knows about Lomachenko. Why does he know about Lomachenko? Because he watches games on ESPN with other sports, and he's being promoted on ESPN. So the greatest thing that ESPN could have done was put that fight on regular ESPN, because and Bob was using that to sell this fight to each guy, saying that they, if you fight on regular ESPN, you are going to reach so many more viewers. Okay, so the casual fan is going to know these guys. They're going to watch this fight, and this fight, if it lives up to what I think it can be, it's going to be a great fight to introduce a lot of these casual fans to both of these guys, and they'll come back again and watch, in my opinion. So the best thing for this fight was to put it on regular ESPN, in my opinion.
MB said this will bomb. Speaking of the pay-per-view, I don't think the pay-per-view does very well at all. I got to be honest.
Yeah, it may not do well.
I don't think the pay-per-view does very well. Again, there's not enough star power on here. There's not enough. There needs to be big names attached to these guys.
He could be not. Yeah, he could be very, very accurately right here by saying it's going to bomb in terms.
Yeah, I believe it will.
In terms of numbers.
Not to mention, I don't believe that they. Again, I think this is a Showtime pay-per-view, if I'm not mistaken. Dwayne M just has a great point here. Let me actually put that up. That's a great point. if you want to expose both Charlos to casuals, they need to put them on primetime TV, not pay-per-view. I couldn't agree more.
If I was,
these are primetime fights,
if
like
I was,
Fox fights.
Yeah, if I was either one of the Charlo brothers, I would have loved to have had this fight on Fox.
Yeah.
I would want people to see me.
Yeah, I don't understand why they, these fights should have been on Fox. These are not pay-per-view caliber fights. I think that's the bottom line. They are not pay-per-view fights.
You have a very good argument there because people do not know who these guys are.
And I'll tell you, you can stack this pay-per-view with, the title fights that they have on here, and Brandon Figueroa versus Damian Vasquez, and these aren't quality. These are fights I would expect to see maybe on Showtime. But if you're trying to introduce the Charlos to pay-per-view, this is the wrong route to go.
For someone like me who's really interested in these fights,
yeah, we're gonna buy it. You don't. Listen, if somebody asked me, "Would you buy this?" I would tell them no. I'm going to buy it because I know the guys and I know, I love boxing. This is who we are, But a casual guy off the street, if he asked me, "Hey, would you pay for this?" No, 100% no.
I don't drink. I don't smoke. I go out to eat probably once a month. What am I going to spend my money on?
It's very true. The Beeb.
There's only so much I could save. I got to enjoy myself once in a while.
Hey, you got to live for today, Beeb.
I can't sock it all the way in the mattress.
That's right. All right, before we go back to the phones here, Wilder and Fury in December. Bob Arum said this week they are moving forward with the December 19th date at Allegiant Stadium in Las Vegas. The stadium, get this, Beeb, holds 65,000 people, but they are looking to put 10 to 15,000 in for this fight. Interestingly enough, in this whole thing, because football, they're having people there, about 15,000 or so, in stadiums and stuff around the country and that kind of thing. I think Kansas City had like 10 or 15,000 the other day. How is that going to look for boxing as far as are they going to be able to spread them out enough with that stadium and everything? Because that's a huge stadium.
Listen, we're going into uncharted territory here. So one can only speculate how this thing is going to play out, how it's going to look. I can't answer that question. I have no idea. I
don't know what it's going to look like, man.
I'll tell you one thing.
I'll watch it.
It's going to look like one of the most bizarre things I've ever seen. I'll tell you that.
For a big time fight, yeah.
It's going to look very, very weird.
Yeah.
To be perfectly honest.
The games today, they played the game in Cincinnati today.
Yeah.
And, when watching that, you look out in the stadium and there's nothing there. There's no people, no nothing. It's odd. It's a really odd thing.
It's crazy. The NBA is really weird. The NBA reminds me of when you're at the high school gym watching a practice scrimmage,
right.
Two teams. It's crazy.
Do they pipe in the sound in the NBA as well?
It's corny.
That's so corny.
It's so corny.
I would rather, them not do that and listen to the players. Let's listen to the players talk to each other. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And have them not mic'd up, but you could obviously hear them. So
yeah, it's corny.
It was really corny. Alan Minter from Britain passed away this week of cancer, unfortunately. This guy was a former world champion, and unfortunately, for me anyway, the best-known fight for Minter was one of the lowest points in boxing, and there's been a few of those. When you remember this fight, Beeb, I remember watching this. I remember like it was yesterday. I just actually pulled up the clip earlier today when Minter fought and lost to Marvin Hagler in Wembley Arena. Do you remember that?
I do.
And a fight broke out, or a riot broke out, and they were throwing beer bottles at Hagler, cans in the ring. They were hitting Hagler and his handlers and everything like that. That was an unbelievable scene. I never forgot that. But I remember watching it live. I remember Cosell, and when I pulled the tape up today, it was like, you heard Cosell again. It was kind of brought you back to that moment. They stopped that fight, and then they just went nuts. It's crazy, right?
It was nuts. It was crazy. It was off the chain.
In other news, our second train wreck of the week runner-up, Conor McGregor, has yet again been accused of sexual assault in France. He has denied the claims and since has been released. Not sure what would come of this, but very little details have been released on this. So I don't know.
This is number 2, right? There was another.
I think so. Yeah. I think so. And he just proposed. I guess he just either got married or proposed to his girlfriend. I think he got married to her. Who knows? Who cares?
She's very pretty.
She's not bad.
He's got a child. I think he's got a son with her.
I think so. I think he's got 2 kids with her.
Kids,
I thought he had like 2 kids with her.
He's really cute.
Yeah. All right, let's go to the phones here. 443. 443, you're live.
That would.
Hey, how you doing?
Good. Who am I speaking with?
Hear me?
Yeah, who am I speaking with?
Troy.
Hey, Troy, what's going on, brother?
What's happening,
Troy
man?
from Baltimore.
Yes.
What's happening, Troy?
How you doing?
Good, man.
Good, man.
Good. You know what? I'm gonna touch on like 3 subjects: the Charlos, the Wilder thing, and the thing you just mentioned about Conor McGregor. But I absolutely agree with what everybody's saying about the Charlo twins. That should have never been on pay-per-view, especially not for $75. Is going to flop because they don't have a mainstream audience. They might have an audience when it comes to diehard fans, but they don't really spend money. It's the mainstream people that sell money.
He's over there dying over there. You got COVID.
You know,
You got COVID.
Nah, I got a little cold on my chest. I'm cool, but
yeah, that's what I heard. Yeah, that's what I thought
man,
too. Man, he got COVID, son.
I don't know who was I don't know who was the genius that said to them, look, man, we're gonna put this on pay-per-view when we could have just put this on Fox on Saturday night, because it makes no sense to me at all. They could have put it on Fox, and it would have been seen by many more people. And I got a feeling that one of those brothers is going to lose badly.
Oh yeah.
On when's the fight?
The 23rd.
When is the
23rd? I believe it's the 23rd, if I'm not mistaken. Let me just double check.
Yeah, one of them is going to lose badly that day. They're just going to lose. They're just because they're fighting guys now. They're finally stepping up in class and stuff. They were what?
26.
They're 30 years old now? Born in 1990.
Yeah.
So so they're stepping up finally, and I just think, man, that because how I feel about boxing nowadays. I actually call this era like the coulda, shoulda era, and never was era.
Yep.
Because you have all these fights that could have happened, should have happened, and just never was it's just never gonna happen.
That's true.
Never gonna happen. Like Wilder Josh, never gonna happen. Crawford Spence, never gonna happen. Understand me? And it's all the same foolishness. Oh, across the street, XYZ. I'm shut up. Nobody wants to hear that. Nobody wants to hear that, man. As a boxing fan, you take a guy like Dillian White. Sure, he lost. It's been 2 weeks now, right? He lost, but he's the same guy that says, "Okay, fine, I lost. Sign the papers and let's go ahead and do the rematch." He had no complaints. He had nothing to say. He didn't make any excuses about, the gloves were loaded. Somebody tainted my water.
He was a man about it.
XYZ. No, I'll just fight the rematch and we'll just go from there. Say what you want to say about him, but he's the type of fighter that we need throughout boxing, man. If you don't have that type of spirit anymore in boxing. Now, the whole Wilder Fury thing, to be very honest with you, I'm sick of both of them, man, because if they're not going to fight, why don't they just retire? Because I have a feeling Fury's not going to fight. He's going back to WWE to make some easy money. And what? We're just going to wait around and hear all the talk and see all the smoke getting blown up our asses again. Nah, man, just go ahead and retire. You and Wilder need to retire because I'm sick of hearing the talk. And yes, that sounds a little bitter because maybe I am. I'm sick of it. And then you say Conor went to France. Conor went to France and got accused of a sexual assault.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Yep.
Yeah.
That's like walking out in the rain. That's like walking out in the rain and getting wet. You go over to France to really have sex with them women. Period. How do you get accused of sexual assault when you're famous and you're rich and people know who you are? What are you over there being like Trump? You just grabbing You know, I mean, come on, man. I mean, how do you go to France and just get upset and just assault women when you're famous and you're rich and they're probably throwing themselves at you anyway? Was he drunk or what was the situation?
We don't know. There's been no real details out. I mean, no real details other than he's been, that he's been accused. That was it.
Somewhere in there, there's a joke. Yeah, somewhere in there, there's a joke. I'm not making fun of the whole, sexual assault thing, but there's a joke in there, man. You got the Irishman that walks into a French bar. Get up, and you fill in the blanks. There's a joke in there somewhere. It's
crazy.
I'm just real sarcastic when it comes to boxing now because I'm sick of the talking. People talk, but they don't fight.
Yeah.
Crawford and Spence should have been fought.
Yeah.
Tank, Russell, Santa Cruz, all of them cats should have been fought. You understand me? They're just not going to do it.
I agree.
And it's always for the same thing. It's always for the same thing, man. I mean, because if they fought, right, you take Tank and you take Russell, that was sell out. I'm from Baltimore, so that was sell out of Baltimore, that was sell out DC, that was sell out, period. So, that takes care of the live gate, and then you just have to promote it, put it on TV. I mean, you're going to make your money back with it, right? Never happened. Never happened. It's never going to happen. Just tired of the talk, but I'm sorry, man. I've been rambling, so go ahead.
No, no, you're good. You good.
Yeah. I just get on this thing where, because I've been watching boxing 30 plus years, man. And this is the worst I've ever seen it with all the coulda, shoulda, woulda. But, well, you got to cross the street and, he has a resume and shut up. Shut up and fight. Please, just shut up and fight. The fans don't want to hear you talk no more.
Right.
That's why so many people are turning away from the sport. Just shut up and fight, because that's really what you train for. Yeah. Please.
Gotcha.
Agreed. All right, Troy, we're going to get moving here, man.
Thoughts on it, man.
Thank you so much for the call. We appreciate it. And I hope you feel better, man. Hope he feels better. 508 Beeb.
Oh, God.
Right? Oh, wait a second. Hit the wrong one here. 508, you're live.
Hey, yo! What's going on, people?
What's the word,
Same old.
How you doing, brother?
Same bullshit mafia. What the fuck is WBC doing now?
It's crazy, right? Avni Yildirim?
You know what's crazy? What is crazy how these motherfuckers come in the daily, week after month after year, the same shit. And one day, somehow, you guys give credibility to these motherfuckers. When we gonna bury all these motherfuckers already, bro? Just bury them. Don't talk about no fight. Just talk about talk about the people who's gonna fight. Don't talk about this bullshit bells. Nobody give a fuck who anybody with these fucking straps don't mean anything. Crawford, 33 fucking years old. Never fought nobody with a fuck on his prime. We're gonna see this man. If he ever fights somebody, it's gonna be after his fucking prime. We're about to retire. We have to take that motherfucker for fucking years. Fighting meaning anymore. What the fuck? What the fuck is it like enough is enough, bro? Just don't talk about this bill. Take that motherfucker out of the wall, Eric. Take this fucking straps out of there. Outrageous. Then I told you to think about the kids. Don't talk like that. Think, nigga, I'm thinking about the kids. What about you? Are you thinking about that future? Leaving this fucking lie, Crawford holding to a WBO strap that doesn't mean a fucking thing. All the face motherfuckers. All these motherfuckers, Crawford, especially Crawford and motherfucking Wilder, they chose to side with the man. They chose to betray you and stab you in your fucking back. And you motherfuckers moving for these cocksuckers. We don't find nothing. They don't care about nothing besides money and themselves. Fuck the fans. That's what they tell you every fucking fight. And we come in here like what? Listen, everybody out there, thumbs up, Going in and I'm outie.
All right, Georgie. Good call as usual. Georgie from Rikers. You know, listen, I think what Georgie was trying to say in his garbled way was that these guys should fight each other. I think he was saying the same thing Troy was saying. These guys need to fight each other. That's that.
Yeah.
Am I wrong, Beeb? Is that what you kind of got out of the whole translation thing?
that was a translation. Good translation.
That's why I'm here. That's why
right.
I'm here.
That's right.
I speak Georgie. Maybe I speak Rikers. I don't know.
Speak Rikers.
Speak Rikers. Wood 443. You're live.
Talk to me, Cat Daddy. What's going on, yo?
What's happening?
What up? What's going on?
Hey, man, I want to talk real briefly about some of these things that's going on in boxing. First, I want to talk about the Canelo situation. I know a lot of people busted Canelo balls because of the person he chose to fight. But I think people should look deeper. A lot of these people are one-dimensional thinkers, two-dimensional thinkers. They're not thinking things through like a person. I use my brain for a living, so my brain's muscle is intact. A lot of these people don't use their brains for a living. They go by what the first thing they see. When you always got to think on your toes and be making life altering decisions, you think different. I think Canelo is picking that easy fighter because he's not happy with the money that he's getting. And I believe that he feel like if he fights somebody big, he putting everything on the line and he not getting his worth. And DAZN is a sinking ship and they trying to get all the money they can out of Canelo, and because they know it's Canelo fighter name, that's big bucks for them. But Canelo will fight a small name, they're gonna be where they at, and they trying to use Canelo, his clout in the sport, to save their company, and that's not his responsibility. His responsibility is to follow by the contract, and what the contract say, they want to reduce his pay. So he said, "Fuck it, I ain't gonna fuck y'all. I see y'all, as Georgia would say, cocksuckers in court."
It's not a bad point.
That's all I gotta say about.
Yeah, that's not a bad point.
I believe it's not. I believe it's not scary. I don't believe Canelo Alvarez got a scary bone in his body. If you will walk down Triple G and walk, I'm talking about walk Triple G down, there's nobody else you'll face. That's when Triple G was smashing niggas. And Canelo walked him down and fought him head to toe. So I'll go back and watch that fight. He's not scared of nobody. It's just a money situation. That's why he's picking that person you don't know about. That I keep whatever the person from. I think the person from Baghdad some motherfucking way. The reason why he's picking that person is because of money. And another thing I want to reach on, Bill Devin Haney and all this bullshit. I believe Bill is doing an awesome job by promoting his son, but I don't believe his son. I believe Bill is writing the check that his son can't cash at this particular moment. I believe I believe he should go down a different route. He should have Devin main event in a few fights like Floyd Mayweather brought up Gervonta Davis. He should bring him up that way, because boxing, the way it look on the inside, way it is on the inside, is totally different from how it is on the outside. Totally different from the inside to outside. And I believe Devin should. He's only 21. He should take this time to get the Fortunas, the Gamboas, and other little fights before he just jump into a Gary Russell fight. I don't believe that's the order. Now, if he do it and win.
No, I think Haney smashes Gary Russell right now. I think Haney smashes. Do you think so?
I'm gonna tell you, that's the way.
Too big.
On the outside looking in, if I was just a novice or a neophyte on the outside looking in, it looks like he can just walk through Gary Russell. But a lot of people is underestimating Gary Russell's footwork. I've been in the ring a lot of times, and footwork can make and break a fighter. I don't believe Devin Haney going to keep up with the feet part, and I believe that's going to lead into a lot of combination. Gary Russell is an underestimated footwork and his combination punches. I believe that experience is going to cost Devin Haney a lot. And Saul will realize I shouldn't have went that route. But it looks easy. Go look at Jojo Diaz. Jojo Diaz is a champion. Right now, as we speak, Jojo Diaz hold a world belt. That's in Gary Russell whipped his ass like it was nothing. He got into that fight with Tevin Farmer and showed the fuck out. Tevin Farmer's not a hard person. He's not a hard person. He's not an easy person to beat. And he went toe to toe and he was having problems. Farmer don't have the footwork Gary has. Gary got underrated footwork, and footwork mean a lot in boxing. A lot of people don't talk about footwork a lot in boxing. It don't mean nothing to a person that never been in the ring. But a person that been in the ring, they know what footwork can do. And I believe that experience in his footwork and his combination punches is going to be a whole lot. It's going to be a whole lot for a young person with not that much experience inside big time fight, just in the gym. I believe that's going to be it's going to be a big chunk that he's not going to be able to swallow. You know how your mother, tell you, take your time, chew your food, start taking these big bites, you're going to choke. I believe he's going to get inside that fight and realize by the 5th or 6th round, man, I fucked up. I can't even find this dude. I can't even find him. Gary been fighting. Gary been looking at fighters like Devin Haney ever since he probably was 10 years old. DC is a boxing town. He done fought that style many a times. That size is not going to mean nothing. And this boxing is more difficult if you do it than the person that love it as a sport. If you look at it by a sport, it looks like Devin just walked right through him. But in reality, a whole lot of things go into play when it comes to boxing. Little things, small things can kill you. And I believe those small things is going to kill Devin Haney. He don't have enough experience. And his father doing one hell of a job going around promoting him. I say by a year and a half, he going to have everybody and their mama from 147 calling out his son the same way Tank reached that status. It's easy when you the hunter, but when the rabbit get the gun and start hunting you down, it's not that fun. By Bill Haney going to all these shows is putting Devin Haney in a very, very bad situation. It's going to make him have to grow up overnight. And he's only 21 years old. He don't even have his man strength yet. And his father going to talk him into a whole lot of ass whipping. He getting on all these shows, building up his profile. But now he's going to have to bring some ass and take out a lot of people. Because it's a matter of time before people start challenging. Because they know as soon as they say Devin Haney's name, 1,000 YouTubers going to start talking about it. You're going to be, you can turn yourself into an overnight sensation. There's people right now in boxing with a little name waiting to knock Devin Haney off his throne right now with way more experience. But it's going to come now. Y'all say, Wood said that shit. A year ago, Wood said that shit. He's going to be hunted soon. And I think the Gary Russell fight is way too much for his inexperience. Size is not going to mean nothing in the ring because it's more than that size that Devin Haney got to overcome. It's those feet and the hand and eye coordination, no combination punches. You can't hit what you can't see. That's my call, y'all. And I'm out of here. Peace.
All right, Wood. Good call as always. Beeb, I don't know about you, but I couldn't disagree more with Wood. I don't think that Gary Russell gets close to Devin Haney. Listen, it ain't like Devin Haney doesn't have footwork either.
Yeah.
He's bigger, he's stronger, he's faster. I think that's a bad matchup for Russell, and not to mention Russell's not going to take it anyway.
But Wood can probably see something. Sometimes, like,
well, Wood's from Maryland. I mean, Wood's from Baltimore, and so is Gary Russell, and so is Tank Davis, and he's a hometown guy, just like I favor Bronner. But realistically, when you see these two guys, what do you see happening?
But the thing with Haney is he's got it all. He's big, he's strong.
He's got everything, man.
He's fast, he's explosive. He knows how to fight.
Yeah.
He's very versatile.
He reminds me of Floyd. He really does.
Yeah,
he's a little Floyd, the young Floyd.
He's got a lot of things that you can't teach somebody. He's got a lot of just natural gifts. But sometimes people see things, like, for instance, like I look at certain fights and I pick guys and people are like, damn, Beeb, how can you pick that guy? He's going to get killed. Like, I'm picking Santa Cruz. Everyone thinks I'm crazy because, like, I just look at the styles and I just see how that style can be problematic for Tank. You know what I'm saying? For
sure. And that's a pick 'em fight. I really think that. I really do.
A lot of people don't agree with us because he's like a 3-1 favorite, Tank, almost a 4-1 favorite, like a 3.5-1 favorite.
Yeah.
So the general consensus out there is that Santa Cruz is too small. He's going to get smashed.
Yeah.
But, like, sometimes you just look at a fight and you see something that other people don't. Like, maybe I understand where you're coming from, but maybe Wood does see something.
Sure. No, listen. I mean, yeah.
I don't see it. You don't see it. He may see it.
Yeah, he may see it. I don't see it, but
it may or may not be there.
Yeah,
but he sees it. So
I agree.
Much respect to him for his opinion.
For sure,
I guess,
area code 774. Isn't that Massachusetts and then Boston?
774. I think is I think that's I think that is Haverhill.
774. You're live.
That's Haverhill.
Hi, my name is E. O'Neill. I'm the #1 ranked editor at Everpedia.org. It's an internet encyclopedia set based on the state of Malacca, California. I have a Bachelor of Science from Colorado Christian University. I'm giving you a quick call. I boxed myself. I did USA boxing back in the late 90s. I beat Preston Hartzog when he was in the U.S. Army World Class Athlete Program. That was my best win. Again, my name's Matthew O'Neill. And I beat Preston Hartzog when he was in the U.S. Army World Class Athlete Program. He was a super heavyweight.
Okay.
I beat him in the USA boxing sanction match. Okay. The reason for the call is the Conor McGregor situation when he fought Floyd Mayweather. I talked to noted matchmaker Eric Botcher via telephone a few years ago.
Mm-hmm.
And it looks like Conor McGregor did not have any noteworthy amateur wins before he fought Floyd Mayweather Jr.
Correct.
As far as Conor McGregor's amateur record, it was never released to the media. I know for a fact that he had no noteworthy amateur wins.
Correct.
Do you agree, or have you ever found any?
No, it's really hard to find somebody's amateur record, regardless.
Right.
But if you dig deep enough, I'm sure you can find it. But I totally take your word for it.
Yeah, because I beat Preston Hartzog. I'm only 5 feet 11 inches tall. He was 6'4". He was in the U.S. Army World Class Athlete Program, and he was also the 1997 U.S. Armed Forces
90 seconds.
Super heavyweight at 6'4". I'm only 5'11".
Okay.
Preston Hartzog is mostly known for fighting Vitaly Klitschko in sparring. Preston Hartzog was Vitaly Klitschko's #1 sparring partner before Klitschko fought Lennox Lewis.
Okay.
So that's what he was best known in the pro ranks. He was 15 wins, 1 loss, 1 draw, with 4 KOs in the professional ranks. He underachieved. He was an Army champion twice. He was more of a boxer out of the South.
60 seconds.
He just didn't have that really power to keep people off of him. I was not the greatest.
I'm a little confused on where you're going, though. I'm a little confused on where you're going with this.
The point is that Conor McGregor made so much money. He made so much in the fight based upon he never had any amateur fight.
Correct.
I like Conor McGregor. I think he's a gifted athlete and the fight so well. I just think that as members of the media, Conor never had any really noteworthy amateur wins, and he's given us huge payday.
Right.
I don't want to sound, I just think it's weird that he got paid so much money, and he had no chance to beat Floyd Mayweather.
Well, I think what's even weirder is that it was a sanctioned bout that Floyd actually counted as a win against a guy who had no professional fights versus a guy who had, what, 49? Was he 49 at the time?
49-0, yeah.
49-0 at the time, and then he counted it as his 50th win. And the fact that it was sanctioned is absurd.
Yeah, it gave me, I released my amateur record. It's called Everpedia.org. It's based out of Santa Monica, California. It rivals Wikipedia, but Everpedia has video capabilities, and it's an enhanced version of Wikipedia. Again, my name is Matthew E. O'Neill, and I'm the #1 ranked editor for the company.
All right.
Over 10,000 edits. I've interviewed Paul Vaden, DeMarcus Corley, and Robert Allen by phone, and I'm conducting interviews with boxers, and I'm making my way as a journalist in boxing. I'm kind of new to this. I don't have that much experience. I used to work in computers.
Sure.
And also
those computer guys, man, you got to watch those guys.
The platforms always change. Computers you have to keep up on.
Sure.
It was such a fast-changing career that if you don't stay current in the computer field, someone will take your place very quickly. So it's something that you always have to keep up on. I worked on Air Force equipment. I worked on their platform.
Okay.
So as soon as something becomes outdated, then you get replaced. So if you work on computers, it's based upon usually the platforms you work on. They're always changing.
Sure.
Basically, I came in contact. I spoke with DeMarcus Corley, Floyd Mayweather, back in 2004.
Correct.
He was his opponent.
Yes.
And Corley's still trying to compete over the age of 40. He might be trying to do bare knuckle boxing this year.
Oh wow.
Corley?
DeMarcus Corley, yeah.
Yeah, DeMarcus.
Not a good idea, man. It's a completely different sport. I keep telling everybody it's a completely different sport.
And I also got in contact with Justin Mayweather, Floyd's half brother.
Yes. All right.
And, Greg Fredo said Justin Mayweather, who's currently 6 wins and 0 losses, they're trying to pad Justin's record a little bit, get him up to 10-0, and maybe they think they can get him a WBO title shot in Africa within a year and a half. To paraphrase Greg Fredo, Justin Mayweather's trainer, they think they need 3 or 4 wins to get some type of a minor title belt or minor title shot in Africa. A lot of people don't know who he is. Justin Mayweather's Floyd's half brother.
Sure.
Half brother. They have the same father, Floyd Mayweather Sr. So Justin Mayweather Jr. made more money than Michael Jordan or Tiger Woods.
Gotcha. All right. Well, listen, thank you for the call. And we're going to get moving here. We appreciate it. Don't be a stranger. Make sure to call back in. You're right in Beeb's neck of the woods, by the way. So, Beeb, there you go. All right, guys, that pretty much does it for this edition of Ringside Reporter. As always, you can catch Joe Habib on Twitter at JHabib1 and find our YouTube channel at ringsidereporterlive.com. On Twitter, you can find me at Ringside73. And we will see everyone next week, guys.